Well, good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitburn,
Here.
Commissioner Willis. Here. Commissioner Desmond is absent. Commissioner Anderson is absent. Commissioner Becker. Here. Commissioner White.
Present.
Commissioner McKenzie. Here. Commissioner Mathis. Commissioner Desmond is here. So, excuse me. Alternate Commissioner Drake is absent. Alternate Commissioner Von Wilpert is absent. Alternate Commissioner Vargas is absent. Alternate Commissioner McCann.
Present.
Alternate Commissioner Browning. Here. So there is a quorum with 9 members present.
Thank you, Clerk. Commissioner Browning, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Browning. We don't have any statements regarding commissioners participating remotely, correct? All right, let's move ahead to item 3 then. Item 3 is our review of the agenda for this morning's meeting. Mr. Simons, is there anything that you would like to touch on this agenda?
Thank you, Chair. So no changes to the agenda and no supplemental correspondence either.
Very well. Let's take non-agenda public comment. This provides an opportunity for anyone who would like to comment on something that is not on today's agenda, but is within the purview of LAFCO. Clerk, do we have any public comment this morning?
No public comment.
All right. We're going to move ahead to the consent items then. Those are items 5A through 5G. Clerk, do we have any public comment on the consent items?
None on the consent items.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the consent items? We have a motion from Vice Chair Willis. I will go ahead and second that motion. Is there any discussion on the consent items? Seeing no discussion on the consent items, Clerk, please call the roll on the consent items.
Commissioner Whitburn,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis.
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie. Yes. Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis. Yes. Commissioner Becker. Yes. Commissioner Anderson. Aye. Commissioner Desmond.
Yes.
So there are 8 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you, Clerk. That brings us to our public hearing item. That's item 6A, the proposed sphere of influence actions in the Oceanside region. Do we have any commissioner disclosures of ex parte communications on this item, item 6A? Seeing none, let's go ahead and ask staff to present the item.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm going to ask Michaela Peters to start us off.
Good morning, Commissioners. Analyst to Michaela Peters for the record. So before the Commission for formal action today are the proposed sphere of influence actions for the Oceanside region, following the approval of the MSR and recommendations at the November 4th meeting. So as a reminder, the sphere of influence we will be discussing today under LAFCO Oversight include the City of Oceanside, Oceanside Small Craft Harbor District, and the Morrow Hills Community Services District. So our goal today is for the Commission to take action and fulfill LAFCO task and statute to update the spheres of influence every 5 years as needed, and to do so by designating what you collectively believe are their appropriate and near-term jurisdictional boundaries and/or service areas. And keep in mind, any boundary changes and/or out-of-agency services must be consistent with the subject agency spheres with limited exception. With this context in mind, and as telegraphed in the recent municipal service review, staff is recommending the Commission proceed with limited sphere of influence updates for each agency and affirm each sphere with no changes. This means affirming the status quo for the next 5 years and deferring more comprehensive updates to a future MSR study cycle. That being said, and also consistent with the telegraphing done in the earlier municipal service review, staff is recommending a placeholder in the form of establishing a special study area for the Morrill Hills Community Services District. This special study area encompasses approximately 325 acres and reflects what staff believes would be an orderly expansion of the district and its streets function. And establishing the special study area would directly sync and support a recommendation in the municipal service review to encourage discussions between the district and affected residents to assess mutual interest in pursuing future annexations. If mutual interest exists, this special study area would allow for a concurrent sphere amendment and/or annexation to be considered by the Commission without necessitating a new municipal service review. As for the city and the small Craft Harbor District, no special study areas are currently being proposed. And this means, and is telegraphed by the Commission, in taking up the municipal service review, the discussion and potential action to create a special study area for Oceanside to capture about 250 acres of land that qualifies as a disadvantaged unincorporated community has been set aside until some community outreach is done to help inform a decision therein. And as for our recommendations, we recommend the Commission adopt the draft resolution to approve all three subject agencies without changes, apart from establishing a 325-acre special study area for the Morrill Hills Community Services District, and direct the executive officer to administratively record sphere of influence actions following completion of a standard 30-day reconsideration period. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Let's go ahead and open the hearing then. I have one request to speak here in person, and we will invite Mr. Tom Harrington to come to the podium.
Thank you. Hello again. I'm Tom Harrington, the president of the Morrill Hills Community Services District, and we find this study area to be very problematic with liability and with the added different features within that property line, within the property boundaries. We think this is very important, that the interaction with the county and the community services district, it becomes paramount in coordinating something like that if it is to happen. The Olive Hill Road is an extremely high-speed roadway, has a lot of accident potential, liability potential that our small district cannot handle. We don't have the ability to deal with that. The added types of property that are being within that sphere are some commercial nurseries and other things that I don't think are going to generate any amount of money to cover the liability that's undertaken. And there's a lot of county-maintained roads in that district. And I just hope that if you want to look at this expansion, which it's adjoining, those people do use some of the roads. The coordination between the county and the community service district has to be put paramount, and the ability of a small community services district to do an effective job on maintaining roads, serving those clienteles within that district has to be considered in paramount. So we just are very apprehensive of this undertaking. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Clerk, do we have any public comment online?
I believe we have one online on Zoom for Janet Kister. Would you like to speak?
For the Morrill Hills CSD. The address is 662 Maravilla Lane, 3636 Lunetta Lane, 3724 Lunetta Lane, and 3803 Lunetta Lane. So we have a nursery there, and we own 28 acres. And we don't use the Sleeping Indian Road. It's too windy. It takes too long. We don't consider it safe. Our employees live in Fallbrook, they live in Vista, they live in the Temecula area, so they're not using it. And we're really not interested in being part of this annexation or this sphere of influence. I'm I'm curious as to what's initiating this. After reading the information that was in the agenda, it appears to me, and maybe I'm wrong, and that's my question, is that you're looking to annex land to help pay for the road system there. Well, we do not identify with the Morrill Hills area. We identify with Fallbrook. We are connected to Fallbrook. We really don't want to have anything to do with the Morrill Hills area. So I just wanted to express all of that, and then I have a couple of questions. I want to know who initiated this in the first place. Is this LAFCO, or is it the residents of this area that want to be annexed to Morrow Hills? I'd like to know about the public process. I know you're talking about a special study, but who is going to make the final decision? Will it be the property owners that make the final decision, or will it be LAFCO who makes the final decision on this? Thank you very much.
Thank you. No other public comments.
All right, thank you very much, Clerk. With that, then, we will close the hearing and begin our commission discussion. Do we have any commission discussion on this item? Commissioner McKenzie.
I always do. I have the same questions as the person that was on Zoom as to why this was initiated. What kind of staff time is it going to take in order to come up with a survey? And if you do surveys, you know good and well, if you send out 100 and you get 5 back, that's a great number. So what's going to be the tipping point that LAFCO is then going to move forward and look at and put the time, energy, effort, and into annexing this to Morrow Hills, when Morrow Hills in and of themselves, the CSD, is totally against it. And, you know, I don't know about the other 300 some properties or 300 acres up there, what their position is. But I'm looking at what the staff, you know, their workload, and just how much of this time is it going to take to come up with this answer. So I have the same questions as the person on the line.
Through the chair, so I'm going to jump in and I'll ask Michaela to help out with any missing pieces. So a couple of contextual comments. First, this is a proposed study area that is intended to allow landowners, residents, and the district to have a discussion over the next 5-year period to see if there is interest in actually coming to LAFCO with a concurrent sphere amendment annexation. LAFCO cannot initiate that on its own, an annexation at least. So to the question that was posed by the caller, should this actually go forward in a proposal format, there would have to be at least 25% of the landowners agreeable to actually get it going. And then the district has the ability to weigh in and under statute, and this applies to any proposals that LAFCO considers. If we were to consider a landowner proposal, if there was governance or financial constraints, they have the ability under statute to make their case as to why LAFCO shouldn't go forward. But keep in mind, you, the commission, is responsible for setting spheres of influence, and in doing so, you reflect what you believe would be a otherwise orderly boundary and or future service area. We have, so to answer the other question from the caller, this is a staff-initiated comment where we have looked at the boundary of Morrow Hills Community Services District, and if we were to start from fresh, this is the boundary that we would have proposed as making the most sense in terms of connectivity to all the streets and whatnot. Your constituency here is not the district, but it's for the current and future residents and community of this area. So we believe that this is the start of a potential process for the district to work with those who fall within this boundary. We did send out notices to all of the registered landowners and residents within this study area. So I assume that's how the caller became aware of. If you were to go ahead with our recommendation to approve today, There would be no other work for LAFCO staff. This is a placeholder allowing the community and the district to have a discussion if they want. And if that discussion is fruitful, well, then they can come back to you with a proposal, whether initiated by landowners or the district itself, and not have to redo the municipal service review process. So in our mind, this is a win-win. It gives the community the opportunity to have a discussion with the district, which we think is a good thing. And if the district and the community see fit, they can come forward with an actual proposal without the resources and money needed to do a new MSR. Should no discussions occur, or if there's no interest in annexation, in 5 years when we come back to this process, I'm guessing your staff would recommend that you eliminate the study area and move on. But for the time being, we certainly think it makes sense.
So it's going to be resident-initiated discussion.
At this point, it's either we've encouraged the district to have the discussion with the residents, or the residents initiate the discussion with the district. But LAFCO staff is not going to be part of the discussion
Proud of it.
one way or the other. We have simply given them the opportunity to have the discussion with the carrot, if you will, that if they come forward with a proposal, they wouldn't have to redo a MSR.
Now, are there public roads within that proposed or theoretical
Yes.
annexation? Okay.
And the idea, those roads are all either, well, yeah, they would be county-owned and operated, or in lieu, provided a deed to the county. And so part of any annexation would be a discussion between the county and the district for the district to assume responsibility.
Not the other way around. The county take responsibility for their private roads.
No.
Okay.
Private remains private until someone hands it over to the county or to the CSD.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McKenzie. Commissioner Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate all the comments on this, and I've got a lot of questions. So there was no study is going to be done, but do the residents even need a proposed special study area for them to come forward and do this on their own and say they'd like to join the CSD, or what? I'm trying to figure out why we're doing it.
The distinction is the special study area gives them a 5-year placeholder not to have to do a new MSR should they come forward with a proposal.
If they want to have that happen. Okay. I got a couple questions for Mr. Harrington, I guess, or the staff here. In this Morrow Hill CSD it's in my district, and I'm learning new about it here. The CSD, when was this thing developed? When did it first come into play?
In the 60s,
In
when the property was developed, they tried to get the county to build the roads through there, and they wouldn't do it. So they went through the CSD process and set it up to where they could maintain the roads, put the roads in themselves.
You still pay tap money into the county road system, or the CSD gets all the money for roads?
The CSD gets a portion of the property tax, is how it's funded.
Okay, so
Very
you don't
small
get any, so the county doesn't come in and do anything with your roads. It's all on you because you get that apportionment of the tax.
Enforcement, maintenance, all the headaches.
Yeah, you're
And
welcome.
we don't get any help. Well, we'd like some.
Okay, no, and in the proposed study area, they currently are getting the county is who's taking care of the roads.
And us
Okay.
inheriting those roads is very problematic.
I can see that. And then in reading the text, though, I get it that the MSR, they can maybe join up and not have an MSR, but it seems to be the fact that the CSD, you don't have enough board members that show up. You don't have a quorum, or what's?
No,
there seems to
we
be-
have a quorum. We just had an election. We've got 5
okay.
members on the board now, and we're going to have 5 members cutting them up. There was a recommendation to go to 3 members, but we've never had a meeting not happen because of a quorum.
Okay, because I thought I read that somewhere in here that you didn't have enough for a quorum.
Well, it was and I don't know where that came from because I produce minutes for all of our meetings to the LAFCO staff, and
And are you adequately funded for what you have
Well,
to do?
there you
Right,
go,
but-
6 miles of road, no, and you get $100,000 a year, and
But you guys aren't upside down. You've got money.
we have money. We are working with what we have, and we
Okay.
are continuing to maintain the roads as best as we can.
Okay, so it's not the fact that the CSD is faltering or going asunder, because I thought I read if you had this sphere of influence, they would have opportunities for more board members. That was one of the reasonings for the proposed special study.
Well, we had to have an election because we had 3 4-year terms, and we had 5 applicants. I mean,
So
Done well.
that's not a problem, and money isn't a problem either.
well, no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, it always is. So what are we trying to fix here?
So through the chair, I wouldn't phrase it as what we are trying to fix. I think we're trying to phrase it as what could be enhanced.
Okay, so you're saying if you were to start from scratch, you would make this area bigger, even though the CSD folks or the president says we don't want it, but an opportunity for these folks to join in, and they would have to then switch from the county maintained roads to the CSD maintained roads if they wanted to. Okay, I guess I don't see the harm in letting them talk it out or have that opportunity to bypass the MSR or not to have to do a new MSR if they wanted to join. But we're not going to push them one way or the other. If they want to, they can have that discussion. It's only 25%, and then so if 25% want to go over, 25% of the green area wants to go to the purple area. If 25%. That's all it takes then for that to come to a hearing then, and then LAFCO decides?
LAFCO decides, subject then to protest proceedings.
Okay. So, and it's not going to take a majority, and there's no vote by the citizens themselves. It's just 25%, and then that drives LAFCO to make a decision.
But wouldn't it
hearing
still,
both sides.
wouldn't the CSD still have to be a party to that and be, I mean, we'd have to ask for it as well, right?
So in a landowner petition through the chair, the district does not necessarily have a role other than what I had said earlier, which is in any event of an annexation being proposed to a special district that the district did not initiate, there is a provision in statute that allows a district to submit a resolution of objection based on certain criteria, namely financial and/or governance impacts, and the commission shall give that great weight. I would offer up to Commissioner Desmond's comments a holistic observation that this commission uses the special study areas by practice to identify an area that's not right for amendment, but might be if the community and the affected agencies are interested. That's where we find ourselves here, where we have identified an area that makes sense to LAFCO, all the things that LAFCO considers, but we appreciate that there needs to be a discussion. This special study area is your invitation, should you want to take it, to have that discussion with the landowners.
I want to make sure that the questions are coming from Commissioner Desmond at this point. If he has a question, he could follow up.
Well, I don't mind yielding to Mr. Harrington, but it's your meeting. I think, let's see. It just seems weird that 25% of the people can make that happen to join an area. Has anybody in this area, in this special study, proposed study area, came and said, hey, we want to join this, the CSD?
To my knowledge, no, but I will check with Michaela. So when we sent out the notice to the landowners and residents within the special study area,
Yes.
other than the gentle person who called, have we heard from anyone?
No, we have not.
May I make a comment, please? I'd just like to,
Let me ask Commissioner Desmond, would you,
I'd like to hear from Mr.
okay, go ahead, Mr. Harrington.
I'd just like to say, you have some large pieces of property that are nurseries up there now. If we end up with one developer that comes through and takes those properties in there and comes up with a certain 25% acreage, he can force us into a position to where we're putting an objection into you. I'd like to rescind my caution in this thing and say that the district objects to this being approved for this MSR. We don't want to be pushed into this by one developer that comes through and buys up some property. Thank you.
Okay, so, and I guess, Keen, is it 25% of the property in that, or is it 25% of the owners? What is it?
So there's two counts. One is 25% of registered voters, or another way to initiate is 25% of the landowners who also have 25% of the assessed value of land.
Okay.
But keep in mind, that's to initiate a proposal. You retain discretion at the commission to say yes or no should an actual proposal come forward.
Okay.
Could I jump in for
Yeah,
one
go
second? Could that developer still come forward, no matter if we don't say yes today, but then we would still have to do an MSR, you're saying? So it still could happen, it's just, it would be one more hoop they would have to jump through.
Correct.
Okay, so I just want to point out that I'm really glad we're having this discussion because it's really, this stuff is really complicated. If it's really complicated for us as board members, I mean, I feel for the community it's even worse. So it's good that we're having all these discussions. I guess I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Okay, if it's all right with the chair, I'm gonna try to pull this proposed special study area out. I think it's, let it be initiated by the citizens instead of by us. I'd rather see that, so I'd make a motion to approve 6A, but removing this proposed special study area out of the Morrow Hills CSD. If the citizens come forward with that, so be it, let it happen, and then have to go through an MSR, another MSR in 5 years. So that'll be my motion to pull the proposed study area out and approve the balance.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Desmond, a second by Commissioner Anderson. Any further commission or discussion on this item?
I just have one clarification.
Commissioner
question
McKenzie.
Of staff. Does the CSDA also vote in this annexation? I know they do for cities. You have both the city and those that want to, well, actually, never mind. It's a detachment, never mind. Go ahead and, yeah. Do those in the Morrow Hill CSD, do they also have a vote if this comes to a vote of annexation?
If a proposal is initiated by landowners or registered voters, there is no vote per se of that district, other than the district has the ability, any district, to submit a resolution of objection, which you're to give great weight to.
Okay, thank you.
And can I just ask another follow-up question? Is that 25%, is that LAFCO statewide, or is that local here? Because to me, that seems like a small number, and that might be something we look at later. I don't know if that's local rule or state rule. What is that?
State rule.
State rule, okay.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion in front of us?
I just
Commissioner,
want
Vice Chair Willis.
I'll be supporting Jim's amendment, and I just want to see that the Morrow Hills has the peace of mind about this. So, Tom, thanks for coming up and expressing your opinion.
All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the staff recommendation on item 6A with one exception, and that is removing the special study area for the Morrow Hills Community Services District. Everybody comfortable with the motion? If so, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Willis?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis? Yes. Commissioner Becker? Yes. Commissioner Anderson? Aye. Commissioner Desmond?
Yes.
There are 8 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you, clerk. Thank you, everyone, for the good discussion on that item. Thank you, Mr. Harrington, for being here to provide your input. Let's move on to our business calendar, and we're going to begin with item 7A, and that is the draft policy on public member appointments, and we'll ask staff to present this item.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask Priscilla to get us started.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning, Chair Whitburn and Commissioners. Assistant Executive Officer Priscilla Mumpower for the record and on behalf of staff. Today, the Commission will review a draft policy that takes aim at guiding the Commission's process for making regular and alternate public member appointments on LAFCO. The item ties to the adopted work plan and is presented in anticipation of the current regular public member's 4-year term expiring in May 2025. Now, to provide some context, San Diego LAFCO is unique for many reasons, and one ties to the fact that over the last 30 years, the public members serving on LAFCO haven't changed very much. And it wasn't until former Commissioner Andy Vanderlyn stepped down earlier this calendar year, and Commissioner Harry Mathis moved into the regular seat, that the topic about how this commission goes about appointing the public member seat came about. This said, and given Commissioner Mathis's term as a regular public member is set to expire in May, and he has provided notice of his intent to retire, the draft policy aims at establishing clear rules and procedures for how we go about proceeding forward with a future appointment. So the draft policy largely reflects a refinement of the process followed when recruiting for alternate Commissioner Browning's seat this summer, as well as incorporating feedback received by the Commission at that time as well. Notably, commissioners expressed interest in creating a policy that provides greater predictability to the process and in marrying statutory requirements with local preferences. This context aside, the draft policy in your agenda packets follows a standard policy format and is organized into 5 sequential parts, as up on the screen, each with their specific provisions, which I will now walk you through. So the first section provides a focus on the goals and objectives of the public member appointment process, and in particular prioritizes individuals with local government and/or community advocacy experience. It also commits the Commission to considering diversity, including geographic diversity when making appointments, and directs the executive officer to proceed with an inclusive outreach anytime an open recruitment occurs. Next, the policy addresses statutory requirements for appointment eligibility. It clarifies that any candidate must be a resident of San Diego County, must not be local government officers or employees, and it clarifies that elected officials within county planning groups and appointees to local government commissions, committees, or similar bodies, so long as they do not involve making land use decisions, would all be eligible. The third section is short and sweet and simply addresses appointment terms in line with statutory provisions. So in particular, it outlines that public members on LAFCO serve 4-year terms with no local term limits. They begin on the first Monday of May in the year appointed. It also outlines that any midterm vacancies would be filled with appointees assuming unexpired terms. The fourth section is the meatier section within the policy as it proceeds forward with outlining the process for making full-term appointments. So in this section, it gives the Commission 2 options. So either proceeding forward with an expedited reappointment of the incumbent or proceeding forward with an open recruitment process. If the Commission proceeds with an open recruitment process, staff would then advertise the vacancy in local print and media, providing a 30-day application period. The Executive Committee, made up of the Chair, Vice Chair, and immediate past Chair, would then proceed forward with a recruitment process and nominate 2 or more candidates for full Commission consideration. Now, importantly, the full Commission would also receive the list of candidates and would have the option to nominate a candidate. Alternatively, if the commission opts for an expedited reappointment of the incumbent, then the commission would return for final action after legal notice is provided by staff. Now, irrespective of the option that the commission chooses, a successful appointment would require both a majority vote and then also at least one vote from each of the membership categories on the commission. And of course, this would include the county, the cities less City of San Diego, the City of San Diego, and the special districts. Now, in the event that no candidate receives both a majority vote and an affirmative vote from each of the membership categories, the commission would then conduct a runoff vote of the top 2 candidates. If no consensus is still reached, then the chair would either continue consideration to a future meeting or provide direction to staff to restart the recruitment process. Finally, the policy includes provisions for midterm vacancies. So if a vacancy arises in the regular public member position, the commission can either fill the unexpired term by directly appointing the alternate after legal notice is provided, or proceed forward with an open recruitment process as outlined through the full term appointment process. So with this summary in mind, Commission, we do believe that the draft policy refines our existing practices while also taking in commissioner feedback fresh in our minds from the appointment process that took place during the summer for Commissioner Browning's seat, and is intended to improve transparency as also provide that process predictability and ensure consistency proceeding forward. So today, staff is recommending that you discuss and provide us with any input or insights on any desired revisions before we would then initiate a public review and comment period and come back to you as early as your February 2025 meeting for final action. So with that, I welcome any questions or comments from the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mumpower, and thank you for your work on that. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On item B, 3, where it goes on to say that their duties do not involve making land use decisions. Clearly, as a supervisor, I do that all the time. That's what we do. I'm not comfortable with that in there. I think that if you're on a planning group, if it comes before you and you have a dual interest, you can recuse yourself. But excluding people that actually have knowledge is not ever a good plan. And I think that we all have conflicts. We acknowledge those conflicts. We have alternates. And for me, moving forward, I like to remove that because I think that we're missing out on really qualified folks.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Do we have any public comment on this item online before we go to other commissioner comment?
No public comment.
Okay. I will say that I appreciate Ms. Mumpower mentioning the forthcoming retirement of Commissioner Mathis. That is a big deal. Commissioner Mathis has served on this body for over 3 decades, I believe, and fortunately we'll have you for a little while longer until your term expires in the spring, but I just wanted to acknowledge the incredible service that you have provided, not only to this commission, but to the City of San Diego and the other agencies in which you have served so admirably for so long. So thank you for that. Any further, Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes, I have a comment regarding the expedited reappointment. I think what that does, if we include that, it deletes any openness, transparency that we talked about at the last meeting, and diversity. So I will make a motion that we approve this because I think it's a very great and thorough policy in deleting the expedited reappointment, and that all appointments go through the process where everybody in the county is notified. And I would suggest that in the such as giving staff their best judgment in ensuring a robust and inclusive outreach. That also includes basically such as sending out the emails to all the agencies and requesting them to put the information on on their website. Because I don't think a whole lot of people read the public notices in the paper.
Okay, thank you for that input. We don't need a motion. This is just an informational item to provide feedback to staff at the moment, and then they will be bringing back an item taking into account our feedback for action. Other commissioner comment, Commissioner Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Priscilla, for the presentation and pulling this all together. And Harry, thank you as well. I guess we'll get you're not going away yet, but yeah, I didn't realize it was 1993. Was everybody in this room born before 1993? Right? Anyway, after 1993.
Well,
Anyway.
some of us were.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, me too. But I agree with Supervisor Anderson's comments of if somebody has knowledge about the job, hallelujah, let's and they're qualified, we should be allowed to serve. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Desmond. Commissioner Mathis.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I wrote the message that you have before you this morning at 5 o'clock. And I realized that that this item would be coming up for discussion today, and I wanted to give the board advanced notice of my intention, and I also wanted to share that with the chair this morning. And I want to express my gratitude over the years for what I consider a real privilege to be able to spend time with a group that I consider to be outstanding public servants. And I've reached a point in my life, I'll be 92 in January, and I think that youth is probably, or at least someone younger, can probably serve the board better than I can. So
I doubt that.
it's with regret that I leave, but I leave. I believe in the best interests of the board, and I just want to express my gratitude for all of you over the years for the pleasure of serving with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Mathis.
I have one more comment, pretty please.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Is that I've served, I don't know how long, as an alternate on the special districts and then as a regular member. I can't remember Harry not being at a meeting. I've seen other commissioners, miss meetings here, there, and yon, but I have seen him at every meeting. So, yeah, he's going to be well missed. And that's why I want to do an open, because I want to be sure that we're getting someone who is as dedicated as Harry.
Yes, Commissioner Browning.
Oh, sorry. Is it possible to require geographic diversity? And it's no offense to you all that are in East County or North County, but I feel like it's a really important region and it's not necessarily getting its fair attention if we don't have a voting member from South Bay. So I don't, maybe the answer is no, but.
Well, it's certainly something that we can ask staff to consider as they bring forward something for the Commission's action. So thank you for that suggestion. Other commissioner comment?
Well, I think that's one of the things that's in the policy is that they were to consider geographic and lived diversities. Lived diversities. Okay.
And as I understand the distinction, the way it's currently written, it would require consideration of geographic diversity. I think what Commissioner Browning is suggesting that it would actually require geographic diversity. So we'll leave that to the staff, unless you have a comment on that. Otherwise, we could leave that to the staff to consider.
I think it goes back to dedication. And if you have someone who is dedicated and competent and wants to be served, is knowledgeable, and they live out in Alpine, I think they should have consideration rather than having a geographical area. Well, we have to find someone between these two streets and this, 1,800 acres, and we got to find somebody and go knocking on doors because we haven't gotten an application. So I think we want the best of the group and not pinpoint.
Thank you, Commissioner McKenzie. Other commissioner comment? I just one quick clarification for my benefit. The expedited reappointment, that would be for incumbents only, if I understand, or you tell me. The way I read that was it is if there is a sitting incumbent full public member, the commission would have the opportunity to do an expedited reappointment of that sitting full member to a second or third, or in the case of Mr. Mathis, 27th term or whatever it is. But is that my understanding correct?
Correct. So for the regular or alternate public member full-term appointments, we could proceed forward with an expedited reappointment, but also for the midterm vacancies, if there's a regular public member that will be notifying of leaving, then the commission could proceed forward with appointing the alternate into the regular seat.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. For my standpoint, I would, my preference would be to leave that option on the table for the commissions to have the option, but that'll ultimately be a commission decision. Further comment from the commission? All right, seeing none, that was an informational item. No motion is necessary. Thank you very much for bringing this forward and hearing the commissioner input, and we'll look forward to a proposal down the road.
And, Chair, if I could just add, so what we will do is we will incorporate Commissioner Anderson's comment in a revised version that will circulate for public review, and that includes we have meetings with our city's advisory committee and special districts advisory committee in a few weeks.
Very well. All right, with that, let's move on to item 7B. That is the quarterly update on high priority project and related actions involving resource conservation districts. Let's go ahead and hear the staff presentation on this item.
Yeah. So before I turn the presentation over to LAFCO consultant Adam Wilson, I would like to give a brief intro to the continued work being done with the 3 resource conservation districts in the county. So as many of you know, the MSR on the 3 RCDs was completed in 2021 with recommendations to clean up many of their overlapping boundaries, as well as highlighting the need to align their out-of-agency service practices with LAFCO law. So the MSR also recommended the RCDs get together by forming an ad hoc committee to address boundaries as well as other governance and accountability topics, exploring possible consolidations and other functional and or political opportunities. So fast forward to the previous fiscal year, an ad hoc was formed with 9 members to address the issues, ultimately leading to a master memorandum of understanding amongst the 3 RCDs. And now today we come to you to address additional MSR recommendations during a second phase in furthering developing contemporary service function and class designations under LAFCO statute, as well as game planning coordinated boundary changes. So additionally, we would also like to dissolve the current ad hoc committee to transition to a working group format, allowing for more open dialogue. And with that said, I will go ahead and pass the presentation over to Adam to discuss the topic in further detail.
Thank you, Michaela. Good morning, Honorable Chair, fellow Commissioner members. For the record, Adam Wilson, consultant to San Diego LAFCO. Just to further comment on what Michaela added, just want to, for the record, know that your direction in putting that ad hoc together last year was instrumental to the discussion of the resource conservation districts on addressing overall takeaways and recommendations from that adopted MSR back in 2021. The main topic being out of service providers going outside of their districts with programs and services. It created essentially a turf war between the 3 resource conservation districts. But through that ad hoc committee and your direction, we were able to put everybody's head into one room, and what developed was the end game of an MOU, which I can report and continue to report back that has been a wild success. All three resource conservation districts are working together jointly, cooperatively, collectively, and they've all provided positive feedback. So appreciation to your board in that direction. As Michaela also mentioned, moving forward, now that we've shaved down on some other projects in our work plan, we have the ability to re-engage in what we're labeling RCD 2.0, which will look at some mapping opportunities to clean up the boundaries for the three RCDs and further assure that services are being provided within district boundaries. We plan to reconvene these discussions in January. Hope to get you something back in a formal adoption as soon as possible. But that concludes my brief update for you today, and the recommendation before you is to receive the update, provide any feedback that you may have for us moving forward, dissolve the modified ad hoc committee, and ensure a working group is put together to help us with the further actions and discussions. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
None. No public comment.
Okay, we'll open this up for commission discussion. Do we have any discussion? This is an action item, so it will require a motion, which I am happy to make. I will move the staff recommendation. Is there a second to the staff recommendation? We have a second from Vice Chair Willis. Any further discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitburn?
Yes.
Commissioner Willis?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Mathis? Commissioner Becker? Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Desmond?
Yes.
So they're 8 in favor, 0 opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you, Clerk. Item 7C is an update on an informational report on public recreation at city-owned reservoirs and enhancement opportunities. And we will invite staff to present the item.
It's time for Megan Trainor to, oh, wait, different item? My apologies. I apologize. This is Joelle's.
Right. Good morning, Chair Whitburn and fellow commissioners. Joelle Barilla, Analyst 1, and the item before you is an informational report on public recreation services at the City of San Diego owned reservoirs in the unincorporated San Diego County. This update is provided in memorandum form and ties to the previously approved work plan from fiscal year 23 to 24 to assess public amenities at the city's 7 unincorporated reservoirs and explore enhancement and accessibility options. Now, with the acknowledgement that the project stalled for reasons detailed in the cover page and ultimately, albeit somewhat unintentionally, left off the current work plan, we wanted to share with the commission what we do have and ultimately see if there is interest to continue and formally add it back to the work plan. So with this context in mind, this update presents the baseline information collected to date with preliminary observations. So just a quick overview, the San Diego region has a total of 24 reservoirs, with 10 being owned by the City of San Diego Public Utilities Department. And as shown here on the slide, these 10 include Barrett, El Capitan, Hodges, Lower Otay, Miramar, Morena, Murray, San Vicente, Sutherland, and Upper Otay. So 7 of the reservoirs are located in the unincorporated areas and circled here in red, while the 3 remaining reservoirs are within the City of San Diego jurisdiction.
Excuse me, Chair, who owns all of those lakes?
The City of San Diego Public Utilities Department.
Owns all, even in the unincorporated, they
Yes,
own them all.
that is correct.
What the hell is that? Sorry.
So the City of San Diego, PUD, serves 1.4 million residents. These reservoirs are first and foremost water drinking supplies for our region and operated and maintained by the city's Public Utilities Department, with the exception of Lake Morena, which is operated by the County of San Diego Department of Parks and Recreation. To accommodate various recreational activities at the reservoir, the city's PUD is permitted by the State Water Resources Control Board Division of Drinking Water. Included in their permit are approved public recreational activities, including shore fishing,
kayaks, and private motorboats, to name a few, while other reservoirs offer more specialized activities like stand-up paddleboarding, water skiing, and waterfowl and turkey hunting during certain seasons. 4 of the 7 reservoirs in the unincorporated, which are highlighted here in yellow, are Barrett, El Capitan, Lower Otay, and San Vicente, have concessionaire agreements with private companies Ticketmaster and Advenco LLC, while the concessions at Lake Morena are operated by the County Department of Parks and Recreation. Lake Morena is the only city-owned reservoir that provides camping options, allowing 24/7 camping access. And while most reservoirs have regular operating hours from sunrise to sunset, some have seasonal or scheduled closures with specific days closed each month. Sutherland Reservoir is closed for 6 months a year, while the remaining reservoirs are open year-round, though several, including Barrett, El Capitan, Lower Otay, San Vicente, and Sutherland, close once a month. Lake Morena stands out as the only reservoir open daily with no monthly closures. LAFCO staff worked with the county assessor's office to evaluate the tax rate areas for the 7 reservoirs in the unincorporated area of the county. The total assessed valuation of TRAs is about $4.9 million, resulting in approximately $49,000 in property tax revenue, of which about $10,000 is allocated to various county funds and districts shown here on the slide. To summarize this informational report and our key observations, to just clarify, LAFCO staff focused on 7 reservoirs owned by the City of San Diego Public Utilities Department and located in the unincorporated areas of the county. 4 of the 7 reservoirs are managed under private concessionaire agreements, Ticketmaster and Advenco LLC, which influence the pricing structure and amenities offered, resulting in varying costs for services such as boat rentals and fishing reservations. In some instances, the price range difference is anywhere from 42% to 1,400% when comparing the fees between Lake Morena, Ticketmaster, and Advenco managed reservoir amenities. Lake Morena is significantly more affordable for boat rentals and fishing reservations compared to the other reservoirs, specifically those managed by the private concessionaires. Morena also stands out as the only reservoir open daily with no scheduled monthly closures. The City of San Diego Public Utilities Department funds their reservoirs and recreation operations and maintenance through the General Fund Water Production, and the County of San Diego funds Lake Morena recreation operation and maintenance through their Department of Parks and Recreation General Purpose Fund. Lastly, stakeholder discussion highlight community support for enhancing recreational amenities and access to the reservoirs, in particular expanding recreational activities, improving facilities, and increasing operating hours. This concludes my presentation, so I will turn it back to the Commission for further discussion and questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. We have one public comment request here in the room, and let's invite Mr. David Seaberg to the podium.
Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Dave Seaberg and a member of the Friends of the San Diego Lakes. Our San Diego City Lakes programs within the county were once considered the crown jewel of lakes management across the state. San Diego City Lakes were a destination for recreationalists and an international scale. Everyone spoke of the world record class fish coming from the San Diego Lakes. That only happens from excellent lakes management. This was proven by retired lakes manager Jim Brown. Both lake access rights and water management can coexist and thrive. Both matter equally. Once Jim retired, we have witnessed the slow and continuous downfall and degradation of the city lakes management practices and recreational access. In previous years, we had lake staff to help us if we needed. Today at county-located lakes, you'll be hard-pressed to find a city worker. There are only 2 lakes where at all times you'll see lake staff, Miramar and Murray. Thousands of joggers, hikers, and bike riders go to both lakes, and they are also open 7 days a week. On the City Lakes website, only recreational boaters must pay a day use fee. This means walkers, joggers, and bike riders and all others do not pay a daily use fee. It means the people who touch the water unfairly bear this burden. The city lakes proper are also the cleanest, best kept lakes. The roads, bike, and walking paths are all maintained in excellent condition. Access is quite easy and no one has issues with access or the condition of the facilities. It is the largest lakes where you will be unlikely to find a city worker. Both El Cap and Sutherland boat ramps and docks are in terrible, nearly unusable conditions. The roads at these lakes can or will damage your car, truck, or boat from their poor condition. Also at the county lakes, you will find there are thousands of residents, bird watchers, anglers, boaters, and people who enjoy nature. Every one of them are required to pay for a day use permit. Cost is $11. Use of a boat at another $11. At a friend, $11. Most pay our hard-earned money every time we arrive at these lakes. However, City Lakes Management has encouraged the non-payment of these fees at the county lakes by the lack of city personnel to enforce or encourage compliance. They then use the red herring as a way of proving that lake revenue is decreasing and does not support continued recreation. We were extremely fortunate this past year to work with the San Diego County Supervisors. Together with our large public coalition working with Joel Anderson's team, we were able to procure the extremely small budget shortfall, $59,000, needed to keep all city lakes open during their scheduled budget closures. City PUD management have been extremely uncaring and dismissive of our ideas and needs in our meetings and conversations. The realization sent a clear message to the county residents that their needs were considered inconsequential by the city and their governing bodies. All the county citizens are asking for is equality and equity. Maintain our lakes the same. We need the roads repaired. We need better parking. We need better ways to purchase daily use permits. We are missing out on additional recreational activities and funds. We need to stop being threatened every year about closures to our prized lakes. It is time for the county and city to work together for all its residents. We ask them to remove the budget issues and threats and work as a team to manage the simple issue that we can once again have the crown jewel we call the City Lakes program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Seberg. Do we have any public comment online?
No public comment.
All right. Thank you, Clerk. Well, let's open it up for commission discussion then. Do we have any commissioners who wish to comment on this item? Vice Chair Willis.
Are we coming down to a very specific recommendations yet on this, Keen? What exactly are we looking at?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Willis, I can't hear you down here.
Do we have any specific recommendations under this?
So as through the chair, so as Joelle mentioned, the item before you is for information, and it's a belated follow-up to something that admittedly I think staff, I didn't do a great job of communicating when we were doing the work plan for this year that we were not going to continue this project. We have enough information now through Joelle's good work of putting together some missing pieces that we come to you first and foremost to provide you what we did come up with, and then the question to the commission in the form of an ask is, do you believe that it would be in the commission's best interest to continue and add this project back onto our work plan going forward? Certainly staff believes that there's merit, but it is a question of your resources. And I know in working with Commissioner Anderson's office, we're certainly appreciative of their time and interest. And I do want to point out, we are in a unique position where we both have Supervisor Anderson and Desmond's office and support, as well as we continue to actually have the support of the mayor's office should this commission want to continue to look at this. And the issue that we would be pivoting to would be, would a special district governed jointly perhaps between the city and the county make sense? That would be where our analysis would go should you green light an amendment to the work plan.
So if we had a special district like this, we could address some of Mr. Seberg's concerns on the upkeep and the maintenance and getting the services that they need.
We would certainly look at whether a district could provide an enhancement over the baseline. We don't know the answer to that yet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Willis. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make that motion. First of all, I want to thank staff for your hard work putting this report together. But I was hoping as we move forward that we would look at other models that may be more workable with a city-county district, whether it's a joint powers agreement or other models elsewhere that would enhance our ability to manage these recreational resources. During COVID, we had shut down a lot of the resources, and while I was not elected at the time, we had several press conferences. We had a lot of people come out. When you think about family activities and where we can go to really enjoy ourselves, instead of having to travel to the river, and we're all worried about miles on our car and pollution and the rest, this is in our backyard. We have real opportunities, and not to fully utilize these resources would be a crying shame. So I'd like to make the motion that we move forward with it, look at other activities, and I want to do a shout out to the mayor. I reached out to him, and he's been very, very supportive of this. And he said if he needed to call in, I just need to let him know. But we have a very competent city councilman here that has his ear. So that's my motion, and I hope there's a second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Anderson. This is not an action item for today, but we are providing input to staff, and obviously your recommendation is that the commission. Well, does this require a motion? I mean,
No motion's necessary, but with it sounds like Commissioner Anderson's comment is well received on the dais, so Joel can come back at your very next meeting with a work plan amendment, so it's officially on our to-do list. But in the interim, we certainly can start re-engaging the topic.
I would support that. Is there other comment here, Commissioner Desmond?
Other than, yeah, I think it should be brought back, I guess, as part of the work plan or something like that. Is that Keen? Is that what you do? Okay. No, I think it's a good idea to take a look and see what happens.
Other discussion? I too would support that, including in my role. I serve on the City of San Diego City Council, and very much see the value of the recreational opportunity of these reservoirs, not only the ones located within the city, but also those located around the county. And the County of San Diego has been helpful in supporting some of those recreational opportunities with funding in the past, and that is very much appreciated. A couple of things that I would just put out there for consideration as we do move forward in this. I trust that staff would be in communication with the staff at the Public Utilities Department, getting their feedback and input and perspective. I know that there are various considerations. Obviously, while the recreational aspects of these reservoirs are incredibly important and valuable, they are working reservoirs designed to provide drinking water to the public, and that can sometimes entail needing to raise and lower water levels. That can affect boat ramps and other recreational opportunities depending on what the actual need is in terms of reservoir levels. So while you have that under one roof, that can make for some seamless decision making. If there were a special agency, that very well may be workable, but you might end up having to coordinate some decision making there, which is something that ought to be considered. The other thing I would point out as well for staff's evaluation is the recreational staff at all of these reservoirs are represented employees. And so any change to the approach would require bargaining with those represented employees. So that would be something else that we would want to keep in mind. This may all be workable and may all be for the good, but just a couple of important points that we would want to be sure to keep in mind as we move forward with that. Any other comments on that? If not, it sounds like there's an agreement. We'd like to continue to put this on the work plan and see what comes out of that evaluation. Let's go ahead then and move to item 7D, and that is the local agencies directory. Let's hear that report.
Now, this definitely is Megan Trainor's.
Good morning, Chair Whitburn and Commissioners. Analyst 1, Megan Trainor for the record on behalf of staff. And today the Commission will receive and review the 2024 Local Agencies Directory as part of San Diego LAFCO's fiscal year 2024 adopted work plan. So annual updates to the Local Agencies Directory serve the Commission's ongoing commitment to sunlighting the scope and scale of local government. Pertinently, the directory outlines the contact information for the 102 local agencies, cities, and special districts subject to the Commission's ongoing regulatory and planning duties. So as you can see here on the screen, there's a few statistics about the cities and special districts that we oversee here at LAFCO. So there are 18 cities subject to LAFCO. San Diego takes the win as the first and oldest city incorporated in 1850. Solana Beach and Encinitas are the youngest cities, having been incorporated in 1986. And in addition to cities, there are also 84 special districts that LAFCO oversees. Given the overlap of services, here are a few highlights. For water, there are a total of 28 districts that primarily serve water through municipal water, and irrigation districts. Many also provide additional services. For wastewater, there are 4 districts that focus on wastewater services, while many also provide other services. For fire protection, there are 12 districts providing fire protection and as well as EMS services. For healthcare, there are 4 districts dedicated to healthcare in the region. Conservation, there are 3 districts dedicated to conservation services, as well as 33 other districts that provide a variety of other services, including parks and recreation, regional communications, road maintenance, and street lighting, with some 10 including county service areas. And at the bottom left of the slide, you can see that the oldest special district in the region is the Helix Water District, formed in 1913, while the newest special districts include the San Diego County Fire Protection District, County Service Area number 137, County Service Area number 138, all 3 formed in 2020. And so generally, annual updates to the local agencies directory include updating the contact information for each agency, the current board or commission member roster, as well as senior staff members. But we also work to ensure that the service functions for each agency are updated. So you may recall that in March of 2023, Commission, you moved to dissolve the Borrego Springs Fire Protection District and annex that territory into the San Diego County Fire Protection District. This has been reflected into our local agencies directory, having removed Borrego Springs Fire Protection District. Such updates are crucial to ensuring that the public is informed on key changes to the provision of public services in the region. And additional key updates this year's directory include the addition of city manager emails for each of the 18 cities, updated board and commission seats based on the 2024 San Diego County elections. And we have also not forgotten about our own agency and have revised the directory with regards to updating our current commission seats, such as adding Commissioner Browning. We've also updated the LAFCO Cities Advisory Committee and Special Districts Advisory Committee seats. And we've also updated our current LAFCO staff members, having added 3 new members with their respective titles, as well as internal promotions. Overall, Commission, we believe that the updates to the local agencies directory appropriately reflect the Commission's ongoing commitment to sunlighting the scope and scale of local government in the region. And with this in mind, staff recommends that the Commission approve the contents of the final report with an invitation to also provide staff direction on any content improvements moving forward. So I'll stop here and I will welcome any questions or comments from the Commission. And I will now turn it back to Chair Whitburn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Trainor. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Okay. This is an informational item with an opportunity for the commission to provide feedback to staff if there is any. I see no commission comments, so, Commissioner Becker.
It's just interesting, though, that we've had a couple city managers that have now turned, and also the Port of San Diego has a new CEO, so already for a whole year, those things are going to be different, but I guess there's no accounting for that, but just a thought.
Yeah, just to jump in, so assuming the nods are all affirmative, Megan will do a final check of any changes to the board, senior staff before we hit print, and then you'll all get a very nice bounded version of this for your offices.
Very good. Well, I see, let's go to Commissioner Mathis.
I just wanted to say, I think it's a real keeper, and I'm very happy to have a copy of it.
It's a great reference. Commissioner McKenzie.
Kind of to tag on to Director Becker's comment, I would suggest that instead of having to do this twice, the years that we have an election is not be as aggressive as we are and have this out and ready to go in December, but wait until February when the votes are final, because I'm looking at a couple of these and, you know, they do need to be updated because there were a number of cities and districts that have different elected officials now. So it would just kind of save them having to go back and revisit if they just waited until December 6th when the votes are final.
Thank you, Commissioner McKenzie. Other commissioner input? Seeing none, we will thank you again, Ms. Trainer, for all your work on this.
Thank you for the feedback, commissioners.
All right, let's move ahead to the executive officer report.
So just a few items to update the commission on. Actually, today, I think, Michaela and Priscilla will tell me otherwise, was the final day for the vote, or was it yesterday, the signatory drive for the La Jolla group. So we assume we're going to have a proposal before you. There is a validation process. This is the community interest in La Jolla to incorporate, and they have to have 25% of the registered voter signature. So the next 2 months, Priscilla and Michaela, and then with the help of Chris and Adam in the back, will be working with the assessor the ROV among others, to make sure that the count is right. And we should have an update one way or the other for you at your next meeting. And that is all that I have for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Simons. Any commissioner announcements or requests for future items? Vice Chair Willis.
Yes. I'd like to bring up the issue of up to 2 positions to consider. One, to help the farming community as a liaison, so to speak, and deal with things like regulations, helping them in their business, startup businesses, and so forth. Because part of our charter is to preserve agricultural land, and this is a way, seriously, that we could do it. And number 2, consider a second position devoted to grant writing, possibly for all districts. Because when I've gone out there, I constantly hear that other smaller water districts, other smaller fire districts need help with grant writing. So I'd like a serious discussion of up to 2 positions on those two areas on the schedule. I'd like to request it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Willis. Any other commissioner announcements or requests for future items?
Never mind.
Seeing none, that is going to bring us to our closed session item, and that is a conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. Before we go into closed session, Clerk, do we have any public comment on the closed session item?
No public comment.
Okay. At this time, we will move into closed session. We will now return into open session. There was no reportable action in closed session. That brings us to the end of our agenda, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.